My goal at the end of this is to learn how to wholesale real estate in 14 days or less, because that's the average turnaround for us. And, hopefully put a couple grand in my pocket, pay off the student loans that I definitely have. First question then is let's just get right into it, and I'll take some notes as well. But how do I start?
So yeah, we broke it down. Okay, end goal, you want to own rental properties, you want to invest in real estate, right? You want your money to work for you. How do we start wholesaling? A lot of people's first question is where do they start?
Right.
So, there's a lot of people that see, hey, you can virtually wholesale real estate, and you can, and we do that as well. But what virtual wholesaling is usually when you're doing it in a different state than where you're located. So we're in California, and you want to wholesale in Florida, for example.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just starting out and you have no idea about Florida, you've never been there before, you never visited it, you've just seen the news, hey, people are moving to Miami and Fort Lauderdale and things like that. You have no affinity to it, you have no relationships there, you just don't know anything about the market. I wouldn't recommend just starting virtual wholesaling in that state or any other state besides the one you're actually located in, and I'll break that down. Because, and I'll use you as an example. So where do you live right now?
Carlsbad.
In Carlsbad,
Yeah,
okay, in
California.
San Diego County.
Yeah.
How long have you lived in San Diego County?
My whole life.
Your whole life
Yeah.
in San Diego County? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would say that you probably know more about San Diego County than any other county in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of real estate is local knowledge. You may know, okay, Carlsbad's a nice area, right? You live there, you may see development going on in the downtown area. You may see people moving from Northern California, especially after COVID. Hey, people want to stay in California, but they want to live by the beach. You may see those developments and housing prices go up on maybe certain neighborhoods versus others. And all of that is local knowledge, right? And you may know in San Diego County areas where there's homeless, where you don't want to buy, and probably where you don't want to fix and flip property, where a lot of crime is happening and maybe gang activity. You're not going to know that if you want to start wholesaling in Florida, that you're buying a house where there's 3 gang shootings every single month, where no one wants to move there. Everyone who lives there in that county knows that, and you're not going to be able to resell that house. And the fix and flippers don't want to buy those houses, and no one wants those houses there. So when you start local, one, you have that local knowledge, whether you know it or not. And that's so important, that knowledge, so you know what are the good streets, what are the bad streets. Now, additionally, what's important too, when you're local is you can go to a property, right? There's going to be properties that you get under contract, or you're talking to your real estate agent, and they're going to say, hey, come meet me at the property today and we can make this deal happen. And if you're in San Diego County and you're looking at a deal in San Diego County, you can go drive there on your lunch break or after work and meet that agent there. If you're doing that in Florida and you're in California, unless you have a jet, you're not going to get there the same day pretty much, right? So you're not going to be able to do that. And I think what a lot of people disregard and people try and shortcut is actually talking to people and actually building relationships. And if you really want to evolve as a real estate investor, let's just say you want to fix and flip property. Like we've done that virtually. It's significantly harder to do it virtually rather than locally.
Right.
If I'm flipping a house 2 blocks away or down the street or 30 minutes away, I can drive there, I can check on the property every day or every other day and make sure my contractors are doing a great job. It's much harder to facilitate that virtually as well. So when we talk about compound learning, when we talk about becoming a real estate investor, when we talk about increasing your likelihood of success, just being local is going to help you so much. So I recommend for you, right? I mean, San Diego County is a great county, right? Some people are, I think as a beginner, right? You might be thinking like, oh, I hear about like these markets, right? Fernando was saying, hey, what's a good market? Is that a hot market? It's like every market's a hot market to invest in, And I think people are trying to look for these different markets and think the grass is greener always over there. And also people, when they're starting out, beginners, when they're starting out, think that competition is bad. If like San Diego County or Denver, Colorado, like people are like, oh, isn't that competitive? That's a freaking great thing. It means people want to buy houses there.
Yeah.
And I think people are always trying to do the bare minimum and not do any work. And you're not going to be great at anything or make money at anything if you don't go a little bit more than the next person. You don't go a little bit of the extra mile. So, I'm saying these things to you because I think other people are going to be thinking about like, what about this market or that market? I want to do it virtually. I just recommend starting in your own backyard.
Yeah.
You know, your own backyard in your own county and your surrounding counties. There's more than enough deals to go around them.
Yeah. I think kind of the stigma right now is the amount of work kind of involved face to face, but there's a lot of value in that, is from what you're saying. You know, not only am I gaining the knowledge to like do these things, but like obviously the end goal is the rental property thing, the passive income thing. And, you know, that basis, right, is then built through wholesaling. From what you're telling me, then, you know, all of these skills. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up the San Diego market thing, because my indication was like, oh, well, if everybody wants a house in San Diego, like how can I compete with like the big dogs out there who are like kind of getting these deals as well? So yeah, yeah, please.
So okay, we're as wholesalers. Let's say let's talk about San Diego County, right? A lot of people want to live here, right? We're not going after the properties that anyone and everyone can buy with a normal mortgage and a normal loan. That's the first most important thing to understand. What we do as wholesalers is we go after distressed property. So that means property in a distressed condition. So it's outdated, it's stuck in the 60s, maybe it has mold, overgrown shrubbery, water damage, fire damage, anything along those lines, right? It's outdated, because in that situation, what that does is it disqualifies anyone who can get a mortgage being able to buy that property.
Right.
So automatically what happens, it means that property needs to go to an investor, no matter what. So just right away, we disqualify 95% of people that can buy this property. So if you don't have that knowledge and you're starting out and you're going after properties that are full retail, meaning they're beautifully renovated properties, that property is not going to be wholesaled. You're not going to get a deal on that deal because you're competing with the open market on it. When we start looking at properties that are distressed that can actually be flipped, when a normal home buyer can't get a loan on it, what that means is it needs to be purchased for all cash. All right. And as investors, as wholesalers, we're going after properties that need to be purchased for all cash. Because in that situation, that means a fix and flipper is going to want to buy it, right? In this space, what's important to understand, fix and flippers are buying properties for all cash, either leveraging their own cash or more than likely leveraging lenders like private money lenders or hard money lenders. So we, as wholesalers, put offers on these properties all cash. We wholesale them to these cash buyers, aka fix and flippers. So when we look at a market, and I was just working with another student in a different county in California, we pulled up some data real quickly, and we saw 168 properties that were listed as fixer-uppers, distressed properties that needed to go all cash in her county. Those are 168 opportunities on the open market live right now. And so a lot of people starting out think that you have to go directly to a seller and door knock or put out bandit signs on the side of the road, say we buy houses, and have a seller reach out to you saying, hey, I want to sell my house. But what we've done is we've flipped the script on the whole industry since the beginning, and we've been doing this for over 12 years. We go onto the active open market. We look at all the properties listed for sale by real estate agents, because we know that from looking at the National Association of Realtors, 86 to 91% of all houses that are sold every single year are on the MLS, on the open market, or with the real estate agent. So instead of focusing on the sliver of off-market deals, I want to focus on a blue ocean of deals where there's always new distressed listings coming up every single day.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question, is how many like distressed properties like come across your table? I mean, for any wholesaler's table. Because to me, it's like, okay, I don't look at these stats, so it's a concern of mine would be like, are these distressed properties going to come up all the time? How frequent would you say they come up?
Yeah, I started in 2012, and pretty much every single day there's distressed properties that come up on the market. Yeah. I haven't ever seen a time where they're not on the market. Yeah. And so you need to understand, like, for example, what's the divorce rate in the United States?
I mean, they say 50%. Maybe close to it.
Yeah, maybe around 50%. So let's say someone's going through a divorce and they're having a hard time, and it's one of their old properties and they don't really care about it, and they just want to sell this property quickly, plus the property's in distressed condition. That's happening all the freaking time. I mean, how many people are losing their jobs, right? So first I talked about, hey, properties in distressed condition that are old and outdated. You pair that with someone who's in a distressed situation, they've lost their job, they're behind on their payments, they're going through a divorce. That's when you're going to have motivation on someone who wants to sell their actual property. And that's happening every single day across the United States. And that's going to continue to happen. The only way that's not going to happen is when we solve, 100% employment rate. We solve 100% of people get married, don't have divorces. Yeah. We solve, no one being silly with their money and making every single mortgage payment. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
We're still working on it.
Yeah, we're still working on it. So when you, right, a lot of what you're telling me are some good beginner limiting beliefs, but you have to understand that every single day these opportunities are coming on the market. Right, we just wholesaled this deal. We have a wholesale check right here. Been doing this for a long time.
How much is that for?
$18,750. So, right, these deals are always here. We've been doing this for a long time, but right, we just looked on the other day, right? You showed me this deal, and
yeah, my first lookup that I showed Alex, yeah.
And then we started going into it and how you're not going about it the right way, but that was a distressed deal. And in the description it said, hey, this is a fixer-upper and perfect for an investment. And so the real estate agent is, they're admitting that this is an investment deal. It's going to go to an investor. Right. And what you need to understand when we're dealing on the open market is that we can compete. You and I can compete against companies that have been doing this for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Because if we talk to this real estate agent, they like us, they trust us, they believe that we have the ability to close on this deal, which we do when we have our cash buyers lined up, and we have the same offer price as another investor, why wouldn't they go with us? If it's the same exact price, it's going to go to an investor, it's going to go all cash, and we were more communicative, and we paid this agent the time of day, and we gave him no reason to think that we could not close on this deal, why wouldn't they go with our offer? And that's just what we see time and time and time and time and time again for years on why we're able to get these deals that are on the MLS listed with real estate agents. Right. And just one more thing, as a wholesaler, right, as a fix and flipper, as someone who wants to buy rental properties, what we're always looking for as a real estate investor are motivated sellers, people that want to sell. All right, so anytime a house is for sale with a real estate agent, that seller is motivated to sell their property. They want to sell their property. I want motivated sellers, you want motivated sellers. That's how we're able to close transactions and get deals. So you need to understand when a house is on the market, on the MLS, on Redfin, listed with a real estate agent, that seller is willing and motivated to sell their house. And now all we need to do is find the ones that are distressed that need to go all cash at that particular point. So finding and filtering these deals then becomes important.
Right.
Be on the lookout for the next video in this series. And if you want to build a hyper-profitable wholesaling and flipping business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch. See you there, and happy wholesaling.